Olight is an interesting brand. Their lights are well known, with many avid users and collectors, yet are disparaged by enthusiasts for some of their design choices. The Warrioir Mini was very popular when it came out, but had a few critical issues that users quickly brought to light, prompting some changes from Olight to save our pockets. The new Warrioir Mini 2 has some important modifications over the old version. The question is, did Olight really improve this light? And has the Warrioir Mini been elevated from a flaming dud to a great product? The WM2 is slightly larger than the older Warrioir Mini, but is still extremely compact, being only 11.8 centimeters long and 2.5 centimeters wide. It weighs just 96 grams without the battery. This here is the limited edition titanium model, which is functionally identical to the standard version. A part of their 4-element series, this model is fire, with a colorful rainbow surface finish and an ugly milling on the body. The light is very well built and feels great in the hand, with the battery tube having a very subtle taper. It features gold-plated springs in both ends and has smooth, square-cut threads with O-ring seals. The head of the light features a prominent rubber-covered side switch with a small indicator light and has a satisfying click. The rear features a unique dual-stage, steel-covered tail switch with a tripod-like surround, which is slightly magnetic to allow for charging. The switch feels very nice, having a firm and solid action. I do, however, find that the metal surround digs into my soft hands, but it is easy to use with gloves and allows for tail standing. The magnet is not strong enough to support the light. The light has several key improvements over the older version. The first is minor, but the body features 2 grooves for the pocket clip, which allows for bezel-down carry. There is also a small split ring attachment included, which is supposed to be used with a metal tactical grip ring. The tail switch has now been fixed and no longer shorts when metal objects are connected, preventing unintentional activation. This switch still allows for magnetic charging with the MCC charger provided in the box. Most significantly, the head of the light now possesses a small proximity sensor under the lens, which reduces the output when the light is covered. This is designed to prevent heat buildup in a pocket and to prevent the light from burning anything, as it does produce a lot of heat. This has been the most controversial change made to the Warrioir Mini, but I think it is a very cool feature, and we'll discuss it more in a bit. Beyond these safety features, the optical design has also been improved, and now includes a glass lens over the TIR optic, which is a very welcome addition. This optic also has a white plastic surround, which adds some reflector-like qualities to the beam, which is a great feature. Below sits a luminous SST40 in cool white, though it is thankfully warmer and more pleasant than the nasty emitters used in older Olights. Overall, the build is excellent, and the Warrioir Mini 2 is very durable, with an IPX8 waterproof rating and 1.5 meter impact resistance. The light just feels great to hold, and I think it's the perfect size for pocket carry, being really small and compact while filling my hand nicely. There's really only one issue here, which is a proprietary battery powering this light. The included cell has extra contacts on the top, which mate with the positive and negative terminals in the head of the light. While this cell can be charged externally, the light itself will not function with any other battery, which kinda sucks, as these are rather expensive batteries, but are not otherwise special. It is, however, a pretty nice high current battery with a 3500 mAh capacity. The magnetic charging system Olight uses is nice, but is proprietary. It's compatible with all their lights though, and works well. The proximity sensor used in the front of the light is really what piqued my interest in this flashlight. It's not something I've ever seen before, and at first, it appeared as a rather lazy attempt at fixing the problems of the first generation Warrioir Mini. There's a bit of controversy over this feature, with some claiming it's more of a nuisance than a help. After some usage and testing, I've come to the conclusion that this sensor really is rather ingenious, and is one of the most effective and useful flashlight features I've ever seen. However, the actual implementation isn't perfect, and leaves some things to be desired. The sensor basically detects the amount of light bouncing back towards the optic, and will drop the output of the Warrioir Mini when it determines that an object has gotten too close. It only functions on high and turbo, and when triggered will drop the light down to 200 lumens. This stops the light from burning any surface, and is effective enough to prevent it from being dangerous or too much fun to use. While I enjoy popping balloons and burning paper, practically speaking, this is actually really nice, and goes a long way towards improving peace of mind while carrying this light. This does not in any way reduce the output such that it becomes unusable, as some have feared. The drop-down level is still very bright, and the range is still really short. I cannot imagine a scenario where the reduced level would be too low, as you would have to find yourself in an extremely cramped space for it to step down in real usage anyways. Unfortunately, the placement in the optic does mean that the object detection can be a little inconsistent. Sometimes, while holding the light in my hand, my finger will cover the front slightly and drop the light down, which can simply be avoided by slightly rotating the light, so it's not much of an issue. If an object covers part of the lens opposite the sensor, the light won't step down, and I guess you could conceivably still burn something, though I haven't been able to actually pull this off. The sensor isn't actually so much a proximity sensor as it is a light sensor, which means the distance at which the step down will trigger varies with the reflectivity of the surface it is pointing towards. Ironically, this means that darker surfaces will trigger the step down much closer to the front of the light, so again, this is a bit of a miss as far as safety goes. Another issue for me is the fact that while an object obscures the front and the light is stepped down, the side switch will not allow the mode to be changed, only turning the light off. Not much of a problem, but slightly annoying. Still, overall, and despite these minor issues, I really do feel that the proximity sensor is a worthwhile addition to this light. It should be noted, however, that this does nothing to reduce the actual uncovered heat buildup within the light itself. The WM2 has a quick step down from both turbo and high, which will drop the output and then stabilize after about 5 minutes or so. This will result in a very hot light that can be painful to hold by the head. Some good news though is that the proximity sensor does not reset turbo when triggered, which really helps to prevent overheating. This titanium model is not quite representative of the aluminum version, as titanium is a poor conductor of heat. Either way though, this light will heat up quickly when run on turbo. The high mode does warm up slightly, but it's not too bad. What is really most impressive here though is the beam quality. While the sensor is large, it doesn't noticeably affect the flashlight beam. Even better, the optical design used is great, and Olight has placed in here a pretty nice LED with surprisingly good color. The WM2 is equipped with the luminous SST40 in 6000K, which is efficient and provides very high output. Though low CRI, the color is surprisingly decent, not having any significant green or magenta tint, and with no visible tint shift in the beam. Olight is notorious for using ugly bluish LEDs, and I have to say this is a big step up from my older S2R baton. Yes, it's still cool white, but the 6000K temperature is acceptable, and it actually appears slightly warmer than my LH351D with the same temperature. I don't like cool white, but I honestly still find this emitter to be rather pleasant. The beam itself is also quite nice. The reflector TIR hybrid optic provides a nice intense beam with a strong spill that provides great area illumination. The hotspot is even and bright, and the beam lacks any noticeable artifacts, even though the periphery is a bit weird. At startup, I measured the beam at 14,004 max candela, which provides 237 meters of throw. After 30 seconds, I measured 12,604 candela, which provides 225 meters of throw. This is a very useful profile that is great both at range and in close spaces. It's not a crazy thrower, but still provides decent range and illuminates an area very effectively. Overall, I was pleasantly surprised by the beam coming out of this light. It's actually really good. I love to complain about Olight's LEDs, but I don't really have anything negative to say about this one. I still wish other warmer color temperatures were provided, but the stock LED is honestly good. There's even more good news here though, as the emitter in this light is much easier to swap than in older lights. If you want something else in here, it'll be pretty easy to switch out the LED, which is a nice plus. The main reason Olight uses these emitters is of course the fact that they can put out so much light. I measured the WM2 at just over 1900 lumens at startup, and 1745 lumens at 30 seconds, which is very bright and is quite impressive for such a compact little light. However, the output will drop almost immediately after turn on and will fall over the course of a few minutes before stabilizing around 480 lumens. I'm not exactly sure if this drop is timed or temperature controlled, nor do I know what type of driver is being used. The stabilized output is very well regulated and maintains a consistent output for over 3 hours before dying out, which is quite impressive. While the turbo output is extremely bright, I feel it drops a little too fast, which is clearly noticeable in use. Otherwise, performance is very good, and across the board outputs are well balanced and regulated, and have nice long run times. What really sets the Warrior Mini apart from its competitors is its interface, which is simple and works very well. The side switch on the head works as all Olights. Pressing the button from off turns the light on to the last used mode, while pressing and holding from off activates moonlight mode. Double-clicking at any time activates turbo. While on, pressing and holding will cycle upwards through low, medium, and high. Moonlight will be memorized, but is not part of the normal cycle. High will also only remain in memory for 10 minutes after use. The tail cap has a unique dual stage switch with 2 levels. When pressing the tail switch, a quick press and release to either level will turn the light on, and another quick press to the same level will turn the light off. Pressing and holding instead will allow for momentary use. The tail switch will function the same whether the light is already on or off. There are two different mode groups available for the tail switch. Group 1 will activate medium on half press and turbo on a full press, while mode group 2 will activate turbo and then strobe. These are changed by clicking the side switch once while the tail switch is held down. This is a super intuitive and effective interface. When pressing the tail switch, the resulting mode will not be saved in memory, which allows for 3 separate modes to be instantly accessed at any time, a very convenient feature. The tail switch takes just a bit of practice to get the hang of, but it quickly becomes easy to use. I have only one complaint about the UI, which is the lockout. To electronically lock out the light, one must press and hold the switch from off for 4 seconds, and the same is used to unlock. This is a terrible lockout system. It takes a long time and is still easy to unintentionally lock or unlock while in a bag, so it's not just kind of useless, but can actually be annoying and get in the way. Unfortunately, the dual contacts in the head of the light prevent mechanical lockout, so this is about the only option available. Thankfully, the proximity sensor does prevent the light from killing itself in a bag, so that's nice. Well, I've always been kind of biased against Olight, and many others seem to be as well. However, bias doesn't change the fact that the Warrior Mini 2 is an excellent flashlight, and comes highly recommended from me. The price is a bit high, yes, but it's not unreasonable for what you're getting, which is a very well-made light with great performance, a unique and convenient interface, and an excess of safety features. For EDC usage, this is a great option, and I think this light more than earns its popularity. Of course, some of the features may not be for everybody, particularly the proprietary charging and unexciting LED used. I believe most people will really enjoy this flashlight, but if you're looking for something more, I will be reviewing some other lights here on this channel that may be more appealing to you, so subscribe to see those. I will also be looking at a couple more interesting Olights if you like those as well. And that's actually the end of this video. That's all I had in my outro, so goodbye.